Welcome to another edition of Ask the Hub. Today we want to talk about how mobile apps can leverage fast data for long-term sustainable growth. And for that we invited Lloyd. He's the Managing Director of Envision Digital and an expert on the topic. So Josh, how are you doing? And thanks for taking the time.
No worries, David. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm perfect as well. And interesting topic for sure, fast data. I could imagine many of the viewers are like, well, sounds interesting, but what does this mean actually? So Josh, what is fast data?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. Fast data is essentially the application of clean, compliant and accurate data in a very, very quick manner that will help businesses grow and scale pretty quickly and actually with a lot of confidence.
Okay, and so when I think then about fast data, what methodology do I have to use in order to apply it?
Sure, there's a lot of methodology that is applied to this kind of, movement. And to apply a little bit of context around that, I just want to give some kind of idea to the viewers and listeners about what we mean by fast data in relation to mobile apps. Now, we've seen these fast movements happen quite considerably throughout our lifetimes, and the two that come to mind are food and fashion. So when we think about these two things, if we put those two things together, fast food and fast fashion, especially with fast food, we think about mass-produced and low quality. Or at least we did, 10 years ago or so, right? In that time, it has typically become a lot better. It's still not the best thing for us, but it's still something quick and easy and consumable, and for the most part quite affordable, right? It's also birthed this amazing other industries out of it as well. Looking at it from a fast fashion perspective, yes, it has got a lot of positives to it, but the negative connotations in the background, it's a massive throwaway culture, the quality isn't fantastic, and there are a whole bunch of other things in the background that we're not going to get into very much here. What we want to position fast data as is the speed in which a company can collect that data and accurately implement that data for their business strategy without the negative connotations of cutting corners or low quality data. Yeah. So the methodologies around it are centered around user-centric data, which combines product and marketing analytics into one single source of truth.
And when you look at this from a technical standpoint, right, from a technology standpoint, what is the tech stack that I have to think about if I want to apply fast data?
Yeah, it's quite extensive. It can be quite convoluted out there. There is typically quite a large education gap when it comes to mobile applications. So we typically look at this bucketed into at least fundamentally 3 different pillars of information. In no particular order, it's product analytics, it's marketing analytics, and it's customer engagement. Those 3 things are typically kind of developed under an umbrella of what we call a customer data platform. And you can get into that in a little bit more detail shortly. But really, with those 3 different buckets of information, marketing analytics is mobile attribution. They come in the kind of sense of tools like Amplifyre, Adjust, Tune, Kochava. There's a few others out there. And that basically enables an itemized view of where your installs have come from. So specific traffic sources. And you can go into a lot more granular detail about the campaigns they came from and even the creative that you used as part of those campaigns. It's the organic versus the non-organic traffic, which is super important to measure, not only with the efficiency and the ROI of your marketing spend, but then also what happens in app. The second one, and moving quite nicely into it, is the product analytics, which is essentially everything in between those significant funnel points that your marketing analytics should track. And that will be everything from screen views to customer traits to user profiling, which really lends its hands to insights and trends within your app, what users are doing, what they're not doing, what's causing them to churn, what's allowing retention, and various different product flows, etc., etc. So those 2 things married up, we get to see where the user came from and what they did in the early stages to help us build our cost metrics and the idea of ROI or ROAS. And then we are looking at the effectiveness of those campaigns and what users are doing in-app. So for example, what are users who have been acquired via Facebook doing 30 days later versus Google versus Apple versus whatever else, yeah? Product analytics very much helps with conversion rate optimization. It allows our customers and people within those businesses to understand what's working, what's not working, and generally come up with very definitive ways of going, right, with this is the feature we need to build next, or this is the functionality we need to put more attention into to help improve the customer journey and the experience. The third element, customer engagement, you're typically looking at platforms like Iterable, Leanplum, Braze, Customer.io for marketing automation, and that's going to be across email, push, and in-app marketing. It's really important that those three things, or at least two of those things, push and email, operate within the same platform to create a continuity and a way to communicate with users that engages them, activates them, nurtures them, and ultimately retains them throughout the lifetime of the usage of the app. So those are the three areas which we focus on pretty immediately with companies. It very much depends on the life cycle and where the actual company is in their lifetime of the app. If they're relatively new and relatively young, then those are the three areas that are first on the hit list, so to speak. If they're a lot more of a mature company, we then tend to look further afield, and that could be looking at platforms and products like warehousing, customer support, Zendesk, for example, wider CRM solutions like HubSpot or Zoho, those kinds of areas, and actually then looking at how that data infrastructure is handled on a much bigger scale. But essentially, as I mentioned, with a CDP or customer data platform, it's typically a once and done situation, depending again on the life cycle of the app or the business, where these tools can be added to the tech stack within a flick of a switch and maybe a very, very short portion of developer time versus if you were to do it natively.
And let's say now I have implemented everything, I have thought about my tech stack, I have thought about the structure and the organization which comes around the whole solution. What's then? What happened next?
So typically that's after you've implemented it all, and once you've got the methodology down and you've got the process in place, is where actually, for me, the fun part starts to happen. So this is where you start being able to analyze your users from essentially the top of your funnel all the way down to the bottom of your funnel. That is understanding user behavior, understanding who's using your platform and the traits that come along with those people, and how you can create what we call this sort of like full circle approach. And that's looking at everything from how you're spending your media, how you're spending your budget on media placements, and the benefit of that data, through to when the user moves through to in-app, how you engage with that user and how you can ultimately create a relationship with them. And then using that data analytics as the third point to basically then funnel all the way back around to help inform your media buying and help inform how you engage with your users, to create this kind of quite a nice growth engine, so to speak. And so that comes with a lot of different, I suppose, intricacies and points to consider. A few of those being a couple of things that I mentioned previously, looking at core user funnels and the conversion rate between them, helping you to understand where you can optimize your product to allow more of those people in, fully understanding that life gets in the way and that there are disruptions that are basically out of your control when it comes to bringing people into your funnel, and building out experiments, hypotheses, and stories around your product, which are going to help you grow in quite a versatile and scalable way.
Cool. Very interesting. Yeah, then thanks a lot for your insights on the topic.
Not a problem. It's super interesting. Could have spoken about it for hours, but yeah, there's a lot more depth and interest, curiosity around it. And we're kind of hoping that this fast data movement would bring it to a marketplace where people can understand it and actually get on board with it pretty quickly.
For sure. Okay, for our viewers out there, if you have questions to Envision Digital or when it comes to fast data in general, please leave them down here in the comments and we are happy to answer them. See you next time.